Business on Purpose podcast.
I'm about to go out of town, and sometimes that is the most chaotic time in a small business owner's life. Hey, it's Scott Beebe with the Business on Purpose podcast. It's time to let your business burn. See if we can help liberate you from the chaos of working in your business. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. The book is at letyourbusinessburn.com. So we are in the midst of spring break season at the time of this recording, and also we are on the precipice of summer holiday, summer break, summer, the schedule of summer, whatever you want to call that, because it's a little bit unusual. And sometimes it can lead to a lot of pre-vacation or pre-holiday or pre-break anxiety. And we end up working ourselves to the bone the last couple of days before we leave, so that the vacation or the break that we're going on is really no break at all, but just requires us to catch up on sleep long enough so that we can get back and come back to work again. So how do we do something different? Well, there's it's a great book. You don't have to go read the book. I'm just going to give you a little snippet from it, but a great book by Atul Gawande. It's one of the foundational books that I recommend quite a bit. It's called The Checklist Manifesto. It's actually the history of the checklist, and it's talking about the checklist and how checklists have been birthed to help really save lives. If you look at the aviation industry, one of the most novel, if not the most novel piece of technology within the aviation industry is the pilot's checklist. And also, if you look into the surgical world, the healthcare world, particularly in the invasive surgical nature of healthcare, what they found was the introduction of a simple pre-operative checklist led to a massive reduction in morbidity and mortality among patients. Why? Well, the checklist included that physicians and caregivers actually washed their hands. Something so simple as washing their hands, the checklist made it repetitive, and because it became repetitive, it led to far fewer deaths and illnesses and sicknesses because of infection, because these folks were simply following a checklist. Now, you could easily say, I mean, come on, these are smart people. Surely no, there's a lot to have to think about when you're providing surgical care within a healthcare setting. There's a lot to think about when you're providing pilot services to 50 or 100 or 250 people within a small little fuselage doing 600 miles an hour over the ocean. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of moving parts. And so humans are incredibly intelligent, and yet there's a cap to that intelligence to some extent where a checklist can come in and really help. So what does this have to do with break? What's this have to do with holiday, with vacation? Well, if you can go ahead and stop right now, knowing that there is a break coming up within the next week or 6 weeks or 18 weeks, or in our case, we've set a goal for June 2020 to go away from the business from about 2 to 4 weeks, a digital detox from the business for about 2 to 4 weeks. Why? It's not because I just want to sit on the beach. In fact, we may not even go to the beach. I don't know. But the reality is I want to test our business to see the viability of the business without me. And so I want to prepare for that. So we're already building checklists here way more than a year and a half out in preparation for that time. But what about a week out, 3 weeks out, 6 weeks out, when you've got a break coming up? Well, this is where I want to encourage you to stop, maybe just 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Sit down and write a checklist of everything you know you're going to need to think through before you leave, so that you're not burning the midnight oil and completely exhausted going into your holiday, going into your break, but instead you're going in with great confidence. And the categories that you've got to think through are employee communication, team communication, customer communication, vendor or contractor communication, material purchases, pre-orders, post-orders, invoicing, bookkeeping, payroll, those sorts of things. Just write that checklist down and then basically begin to determine who's going to take this, how are they going to do it, how am I going to get this passed off, or how can I automate it? And a lot of times passing it off doesn't mean necessarily passing it off to a human. These days it can mean passing it off to a piece of software or to a machine, and it can really offer a lot of value. But it's not going to work unless you sit down for that 20 or 30 minutes Take your phone out. Go read and just Google Texas Tech Red Raiders basketball team puts phones away. At the time of this recording, we're in the midst of the Texas Tech's Red Raiders have just earned their spot into the national championship basketball game. Totally just kind of underdogs, even though they're 3 seeds, still very much underdogs. But they've got an incredible story about how they've been putting their phones away. As 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old guys putting their phones away. Well, if they can do it, so can you. There you go. Go get the book, letyourbusinessburn.com. If you want to write out your vision, that's at mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. We'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.